Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 70 of Brat Said That. I am your host, Brad Jackson, along with my very hungover and very happy co-producer, Chad LGBT. We hope everybody had a great week. We have not been on since Sunday. We took a little bit of a birthday break. Yes, that's right. I had my birthday on Tuesday. I am 22. No, I am 38. I am happy. I want to thank Babe for a great birthday. I had the nieces and the nephews over, or the nephew and the niece over. Best friend Terrell came over. Had a lazy dog. Recommend if you're in the Vegas area or any area that has a lazy dog, go check it out because it is delicious. I had a burger and some fries, and yeah, overall, great birthday. But we are back. So much has happened between now. We got to talk about Raw. We got to talk about SmackDown. We got to talk about, a recap of Freedom 250 because it is still being talked about almost a week since the event. Oh, I'm just so happy just to be back, to just be here on a nice, wonderful Friday night edition of Brat Said That. Hope everybody had a good week. Hope everybody's going to have a good weekend. I have a hair on my microphone, and I can't get it. There it is. Anyways, let's jump right in. We got to go all the way back to Monday and talk about Monday Night Raw, which has happened every Monday since 1993, except when the dogs would take over. They don't do that anymore. Well, they still do, but not Mondays. But Raw, we have, like we talked about, Roman and Jacob. Jacob acknowledged Roman, but he did not acknowledge the Usos. And Jacob was like, listen. Roman was like, listen, Jacob, you are the Us, you are the part of the bloodline. He gave him his own little Fala Lala, or whatever they call it. And it was good. So it looks like the bloodline, Ula Fala. Difficult to say. But, it looks like the Bloodline, this version, Bloodline 8.0 is going strong. And as they're leaving, as Roman's leaving and Jacob is leaving, the Usos are leaving, actor Eric Andre is in the crowd. Yes, Eric Andre, he's got the hair. He's in the new Street Fighter movie with Roman Reigns. That's why they're having this little cross-promotion. Jacob Fatu whooped his ass. Yes, he threw him in the ring, hit him with the splash, put the tongue and death grip on him, and it just seems like Roman was orchestrating it. I don't know, maybe there was some on-set beef between Eric Andre and Roman Reigns, or maybe this is to get Eric Andre and John Cena's new movie, Little Brother, over, which looks really bad. Really bad. I'll probably watch it, but it looks really bad. Other than that, Io Sky defeated Raquel Rodriguez in the Queen of the Ring semifinals. I thought it'd be Raquel and Liv in the finals, but I guess I'm wrong. Once again, it just seems like I have a good idea, and they always go with the opposite of what I have. But good for Io Sky. Queen Io will sound very good. Chad Gable, he's on his redemption arc, Rey Mysterio. By the way, happy Rey Mysterio Day, June 19th, 619, Booyaka, Booyaka. This whole show is themed for him. We got 3 themes today. We got Garfield, which is in the background. Hopefully they're not going to get copywritten. Because that was created today. We'll talk more about that at the end of the show. Rey Mysterio, 619, June 19th, Booyaka, Booyaka. And Batman Returns, Danny DeVito, Michael Keaton, and the other actress, Michelle Pfeiffer. Anyway, Chad Gable, he's on his redemption arc. He defeated Rusev in a really good match. Out came Rey Mysterio, out came Dragon Lee, out came Ethan Page. The same thing we've been watching for weeks. Chad Gable needs to be, I don't know what you do with him. Intercontinental Championship, maybe. But Penta's the champion, so that would really not work out. King of the Ring, but he's not in the tournament. But we talked about Jacob Fatu. Now Jacob Fatu, Jey Uso, and LA Knight. Yeah. LA Knight and Jey Uso not getting along. Jimmy Uso's kind of like, hey, let's try to be diplomatic about it. But then Jacob Fatu came out, hit him with the Tonga Death Grip, and does not work out for LA Knight. Charlotte defeated Roxanne Perez. That is just another match. Both amazing talent, but let's move on. Javon Evans rejected Logan Paul. Yes, Logan Paul came back. He is hurt. He is all bandaged up. He tore his MCL, ACL, KFC. I don't know the medical term, but he is not all there. And he was like, you know what, Javon Evans, you should join the Vision. And Javon Evans like, no, I'm bouncy. I'm not going to do that. And then Austin Theory's like, we're not telling you. We're telling you. And then he's like, you know what, we're not going to do this. Javon defeated Austin Theory in a really good match. The future of the company. Hi, Debbie. How you doing? Hope all is well. How about those Knicks? Javon Evans defeated Austin Theory by disqualification. Out comes Montez Ford. Out comes Angelo Dawkins, who is looking fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. So good for him. And then in the main event, Alba Family just demolished Dominic Mysterio and JD McDonough to move on to the King of the Ring tournament. We all saw that was coming. So it looks like, well, it doesn't look like it. Alba Family is his way into the King of the Ring finals. But who is that going to be? Well, you know what? SmackDown, I think, just ended. So let's get some SmackDown results. I watched a little bit of it, Waited until after SmackDown to do the show. So here is the SmackDown results. These are from Bleacher Report. So, Cody Rhodes defeated Gunther with Sami Zayn as a special guest referee. Now, Sami was kind of back and forth with them, and he was like, I'm going to be a very biased referee. Put his hands on Cody, put his hands on Gunther. I didn't see it, but I know Cody went to pin Gunther, and Sami fast count 1, 2, 3. Cody retained the Undisputed WWE Championship, and I think they restarted the match, and I saw Sami Zayn just yeet himself and kick Cody in the face. So that's probably going to be a triple threat match at Night of Champions. Cody versus Gunther versus Sami. Unfortunately for most, Jey Uso did defeat Javon Evans in the King of the Ring semifinals, so it was going to be breaking news. The finals of the King of the Ring is going to be Alba Family versus Jey Uso. Yes, that's what they're planning on doing. Cool. Great. Because that's what everybody wants. Everybody wants Jey Uso to be the King of the Ring. Everybody wants Jey Uso to win the Royal Rumble. Everybody wants Jey Uso to win at WrestleMania. You know what? Like 3 months ago, we thought the Jey Uso singles experiment was over. But apparently, it's still as hot as ever. He does come out. He does yeet. I love Jey Uso. Don't get me wrong. I got his juice in the fridge. But, man, I thought, Javon Evans, you can do something with Javon. You can do something with Oba. Obviously, Brock's going to come out and cost Oba the match. Brastradamus. Clearly, we can see that coming from a mile away. But, Jey Uso's going to go get Cody, and then Cody's going to defeat Jey, and then Roman's going to be like, Jey, you didn't get it done. You're not, the right-hand man of the tribal chief, and then that's going to lead off to Jey Uso's bloodline versus Roman Reigns' bloodline at Survivor Series. Actually, I don't know, but that sounds like a good idea. Ricky Saints, though. Yes, Ricky Saints defeated Carmella Hayes in the United States Championship #1 contenders match. So it is going to be Ricky Saints versus Trick Williams in the future. We're going to look at the results from Night of Champions, but hey, I've said it every single time we talk about SmackDown. That United States division is in good hands. Damian Priest and R-Truth defeated Tama and Tala Tonga to retain the WWE Tag Team Championship. That tag team division is just stagnant. It's just dead. It's just nothing at this point. And that makes me sad because I love tag team wrestling. And then, Liv Morgan defeated Charlotte Flair in the Queen of the Ring semifinals. So, I didn't get like half of it right. I got Liv in the finals. If Liv is in the finals and she wins, she's obviously going to go fight Rhea Ripley, right? She's still the champion. Has she defended the title? Rhea Ripley's still the women's champion, right? Anyway, the best part of the night, though, for me, was just the Danhausen. See, Danhausen, he's got Kit Wilson, and he's got The Miz. They're all electrified, awesome, or toxic. They're all, like, brain scrambled, right? And he's in there doing the Danhausen thing on the computer, and then all of a sudden, Los Stars has come out and said, hey, Danhausen, you didn't curse the Spurs, that's why the Knicks won. And Danhausen's like, well, give me more monies. And they're like, no, we lost monies. And then Matt Cardona comes out, scares off Los Carzas, and Matt Cardona's like, hey, are they okay? And he's poking the Miz, and all of a sudden he gets electrocuted, right? And he says, whoa, whoa, whoa. Danhausen's like, oh, you okay? And Matt Cardona's like, you know it. So a little bit of Zack Ryder coming out from Matt Cardona. But other than Jey Uso winning and moving on to the finals of King of the Ring, SmackDown was SmackDown. I don't really know much to say. Tiffany Stratton and Chelsea Green are frenemies, and then Julia's doing some stuff. And I don't know. It's just we gotta look forward to Night of Champions next week. So Night of Champions 2026. Let's look at the card. It's taking place in Saudi Arabia. I think this is when you put the belt on Sammy. But if Sammy versus Jay for the WWE Championship would sound pretty cool. Not gonna lie. But Alvin Family versus Jey Uso. The winner will be crowned King of the Ring and earn a World Championship match at SummerSlam. Jey Uso versus Cody at SummerSlam. Io Sky versus Liv Morgan. The winner will be crowned Queen of the Ring and earn a Women's Championship match at SummerSlam. Morgan already holds a Raw Women's Championship, R's and W's. So should she win, she will automatically challenge for the SmackDown. So that makes sense. See, if Liv Morgan doesn't win, though, why do you have her in the finals? Like, why waste that time? You could have done somebody else. Trick Williams versus Ricky Saints, United States Championship, which we just talked about. By the way, we didn't talk about this on Raw. Seth Rollins on a little backstage promo vignette. He's like, Braun Breaker, you and I, steel cage. So, Braun Breaker, Seth Rollins is going to have a steel cage match. That is exciting to watch. You know what? Now, when you get a steel cage match, a lot of people are like, why don't they escape? I don't know. Like, I like the escape better than pinfall or submission. Like, you're in a steel cage. I like that you can be able to escape more than you can pin or submit. Cody Rhodes versus Gunther versus Sammy. It's on the official Wikipedia, so I'm guessing it is official, like a referee with a whistle. And Tiffany Stratton versus Jade Cargill. That's going to be a tough match to watch. WWE Women's United States Championship. So, good for Raw sweeping the whole finals, just like the Knicks swept the semifinals. Oba, Dominic, Javon, and Jay. And now Oba versus Jay, and then Charlotte was a lone SmackDown representative in the women's. So now Liv and Io Sky. But that is WWE news. Should we do this now? Should we do this now? Because today is a very special day. Today we're going to talk about the one and only, the greatest luchador of all time. Yes, we're going to talk about Rey Mysterio. Okay, we're going to go talk about his time in Mexico up until his Hall of Fame career, and his career is still going. So, Rey Mysterio, Oscar Gutierrez, born December 11th, 1974 in Chula Vista, California. 2 children, Dominic and Aaliyah. Where do you start? Early career, his uncle Rey Mysterio wrestled in Mexico. He had a lucha libre style. Then he started in AAA in mid-1992, defeated a bunch of up-and-coming in April 1993 at the inaugural Triple Mania, which is cool. That Triple Mania is coming to Vegas later this year. He teamed with Mysterioso and Voldar to defeat Los Destructors. 1994-96. ECW, he made his debut in 95 for a little bit. Really kind of getting his debut in America. You know, you got to give Paul Heyman that credit. 96 was when he made his debut. Pretty much on my birthday in 1996. At the Great American Bash, challenging Dean Malenko. I mean, that cruiserweight division back in the early, mid-90s, WCW, even in the early 90s. But I want to talk more about the mid-90s. Rey Mysterio, Dean Malenko. I know, Chris Benoit, Eddie Guerrero, just Chris Jericho, Ultimo Dragons, Super Calo, even like a guy like Super Calo who you don't know, is still one of the founding fathers of that early, cruiserweight style. 97, he lost to Roy Regal, Uncensored, the NWO feud. Mostly his feud with Eddie Guerrero is what put him on the map. His match with World War III, Eddie Guerrero. Then he got Mysterio defeated Juventud to win his 3rd Cruiserweight Championship, but lost to Chris Jericho. Jericho versus Mysterio. Still a great storyline in the 90s. Still a great storyline in the mid-2000s. Those two were amazing. But then I think the match everybody knows that it's just Eddie Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio, Halloween Havoc 1997. That is one of the greatest matches of all time. Title versus mask to win the Cruiserweight Championship. The ratings don't matter to me, but that is a 5-6 star match. If you were like, hey, new guy or new girl who wants to watch wrestling for the first time, you show them that match, because that's amazing. Then you have like Latino World Order and stuff, and then you got the unmasking, the infamous unmasking, losing a match to Kevin Nash. Mysterio and Conan lost a hair versus mask match to Kevin Nash and Scott Hall, forcing Mysterio to remove his mask for the very first time. Looks incredibly young because he was. Mysterio has publicly expressed his disappointment over being unmasked. He was struggling against it. The fans wanted Rey Mysterio with the mask, and losing it hurt me a lot. The same thing happened to Juventud and Psychosis, and psychologically, it was a bad move by Eric Bischoff. But, he just still did a lot of great things afterwards. Still trying to be the, Cruiserweight champion. His matches with Raven and Perry Saturn and the Flock. And still with Benoit and Malenko. Then at the end of WCW, he was like in that weird Filthy Animals faction against the West Texas Rednecks. Rap is crap. And then pretty much, when WCW folded, he didn't automatically go to WWE during the Invasion. I would have loved to see Mysterio during the Invasion. You could have this just... Now, man, the Invasion storyline is going to happen soon, and we got to talk about it. So we might have to start an Invasion storyline of how I would have rebooked that shit. But anyway, he was on the Indies and CMLL. Then he did XWF, HWA. He had a match against Eddie Guerrero and CM Punk that was like one of like the first things back in like the early 2000s, mid 2000s, when you got internet, you download that match. And then later, June, Mysterio came out July 25th, 2002. I'll never forget it. This is right after I broke my femur. I was laying up on my mom's couch, my leg in the air, not any bandages, which is crazy, but Rey Mysterio came out, defeated Chavo Guerrero, went on, teamed with Edge, Benoit, and, match of the year, WrestleMania 19, faced Matt Hardy for the Cruiserweight Championship, failed to win that. And then eventually, this is when I was a tape trader. I used to record all SmackDowns. January 1st, 2004, he defeated Tajiri to become... where am I going here? Defeated Tajiri January 1st to regain the Cruiserweight Championship. Royal Rumble, he defeated Jamie Noble. WrestleMania 20, the Mysterio Cruiserweight clap. He's a great cruiserweight, and he's done great things in his career. So we're just going to fast forward to 2002, 2004, 2005, just everything he did. His last, WrestleMania 21 with him versus Eddie for last time before Eddie passed away in November. And then that's really Eddie's death kind of liberated Rey in the sense of there he put the Royal Rumble on Rey. Came out number 2, won the whole thing. Went on to become World Heavyweight Champion at WrestleMania 22, defeating Kurt Angle and Randy Orton. Didn't have like the most entertaining title reign. Lost it a couple months later. To Booker T, I believe, right? But then he just went on a feud with Booker for the title. Kind of kept doing various storylines, Finley, and he was in the Rumble, and then he went to the Raw brand, and the Championship Scramble. Held the Intercontinental Championship a bunch, defeated CM Punk. Defeated JBL at WrestleMania 25 in about 21 seconds. Held that for a bunch. Then his feud with Batista was cool, Batista, I thought you were my friend, and then Batista would beat up Rey, and then 2010 to become World Heavyweight Champion once again. Then he actually got released 2013, he wasn't really doing anything. 2014, he wasn't doing anything. He went released, went to Lucha Libre, went on the Indies. Some tragic shit happened on there. We're not going to talk about too much. But, Lucha Underground 2016. He came back to WWE in 2018. Went off the United States Championship against Samoa Joe at WrestleMania 35, which lasted, the whole pay-per-view was like 6 hours, but they gave him 2 minutes, 58 seconds, actually. But then I think this is really in 2020, get to team with his son Dominic, and, became the first father-son tag team champions, and then Dominic turned on him with the low blow on Edge, with the low blow on his dad, making Dirty Dom dirty. And then, ever since then, he's been like the mentor to the Latino World Order. And his feud with Dominic at WrestleMania, 39, 40, 41. And then he got into the Hall of Fame just a couple years ago. And now he's in the Triple A Hall of Fame. So, he's still doing it too. He still might become champion. We kind of like rushed the ending, but we all know Rey Mysterio. We all love him. We all respect him. Booyaka Booyaka. I think his career is going to end with him versus Dominic. But other than that, man, he was just in, he's in every single Raw. He's been married to his wife forever, which is so cute. I've always been so cute, like childhood sweethearts. Let's see. WWE Champion 1 time, World Heavyweight Champion twice, Intercontinental Champion twice, United States Championship 3 times, Cruiserweight Champion 3 times, Rumble 2006, Hall of Fame 2013, WCW Cruiserweight Champion 5 times, and, just an absolute legend, Match of the Year 2002 with Edge, Chris Benoit, and Kurt Angle, Rookie of the Year, so Rey Mysterio is a legend, so we have to talk about him on this day, the day of 619. But let's move on to the NWO Chronicles Week 4. So we talked about Bash at the Beach, 1996. Scott Hall, Kevin Nash threw Eric Bischoff through the floor, and they said, bring on 3 of the best WCW has to offer. We got our tag team partner. Now, I was wondering, hey, who speculations was going to be that partner? We all know it was, spoilers, Hulk Hogan. But back in the day, I read that might have been Sting. Might have been Sting if Hulk Hogan said no. Lex Luger. I'm seeing Mabel from, King Mabel back in the day. Psycho Sid. And just others, It was reported in July issue by whatever. Bischoff, Hall, and Nash were discussing names this past week with Mabel as the top candidate. Can you imagine the landscape of that would happen? However, this was... my feeling is that the third man is Hogan because a reader who was working on the set of the movie Hogan is Doing with Roddy Piper said Hogan told Piper he was going to be the third man and he was probably going to be doing it. So, early internet, 96... like the foundation of the internet. Could have been Mabel, but it was Hulk Hogan. Or maybe, we got to find out. Next week, we'll do week 4 or week 5 of the NWO Chronicles. But we have been talking so much, my voice cracked, of WWE, Raw, SmackDown. Every week, we're talking about Forbidden Door. But we have not talked about NXT Great American Bash, which is happening the same day, June 28th. We're going to go over the card. I haven't watched NXT in a little bit, but Lola Vice versus Kendall Gray for the singles NXT Women's Championship. That's going to be really good. Tony D'Angelo, who is still your NXT champion, he's taking Naruku, who is evil. Not saying he is evil. He was evil. I mean, he's still evil now, but his name was evil. He seems like a good guy. But Naruku, I just saw they had a little contract signing. Miles Bourne versus Tavian Heights for the NXT North American Championship. And then we got Ren Sinclair versus Aaron or Grace or Izzy Dame for the Women's Speed Championship. Speed Championship is dumb. Get rid of it. Goodbye. And then Shaquan Sugars, what a great name. What an absolute great name. Versus Deion Lennox. So it looks like Great American Bash is going to be a great American Bash. And, I love when they reuse old WCW pay-per-views. It'll be in the Performance Center in Orlando. We'll check it out. We'll give our thoughts. But, seems like a little bit of drama in the land of TNA wrestling. A lot of TNA wrestlers have been leaving in the last few years, and Tommy Dreamer has officially left TNA after working in talent relations, creative production. He's gone. Sami Callihan is gone from the company as well. Tessa Blanchard, she's gone. Steve Macklin, we just talked about leaving. He came out saying that TNA's owner is a cuck, right? Is that what you say, cuck? So, we did talk about Stephen Lander and Mance Warner leaving. Mike Santana might be going to NXT. Trey Miguel was recently re-signed, and then the whole thing with the Rascals. So, it just seems like maybe restructure, workforce reduction, but something backstage is, we got to keep an eye on Santana, though, because Santana is the champion, and, that's the one person everybody's talking about. But, damn, Tommy Dreamer and Sami Callihan, but, wow. So, that's it for the wrestling portion of the show. We do got to talk about this because the last time we were on, we did watch UFC Freedom 250. And congrats to Justin Gaethje for becoming the undisputed UFC lightweight champion by defeating Elliot Taporia by corner stoppage 5 minutes into the fourth round. So, wow. And then Cyril Gane, we talked about Chad LGBT. He's so happy for Cyril Gane. Defeated Alex Pereira by TKO punches in the second round to become the interim UFC heavyweight champion. Now, there was a little bit of controversy in that fight. A lot of the shots to the back of the head, possibly. I saw replays. I saw breakdowns. Every time I would watch, I would do the show. If you were there last Sunday, we would talk. I would look. Cyril Gane was winning and just pounding on Alex Pereira. Was one or two of those fights or shots to the back of the head? Possibly. But I don't think that would warrant them to, warrant a difference in the fight. Because I think you got to give Cyril Gane his credit. He won. And, Alex Pereira, he'll be back if he wants to go down to light heavyweight again, stay at heavyweight. I know a fight that he can easily win if he wants to stay at heavyweight. But I don't think the whole Cyril Gane won because of illegal headshots. No, I don't think so. Also, we got to talk about the winners. Sean O'Malley made a absolute performance against Ahmed Sahabi. The walk-off KO that Sean O'Malley is kind of getting known for. That was good for him. Definitely, no Dana White privilege if he wants to become the number one contender for the Bantamweight Championship. I would like to see Jan versus O'Malley 2 more than I want to see Jan versus Merab 3, and I love Merab. Mauricio Ruffy defeated Michael Chandler. Michael Chandler, I think it's time to retire. This is your fourth loss in a row. 3 out of 4 be brutal knockouts. Mauricio Ruffy, though, you can definitely get up there with the top of the UFC lightweight division. Maybe get a shot against Gaethje. I think you need one more win. Bo Nickel looked good against his win against Kyle Dawkins. Don't like Bo, but, good for Bo. And Diego Lopez with a huge win over Steve Garcia. KO punches, second round. And then the one that I need to talk about, Josh Hokic defeated a very depleted version of the Black Beast. And won with a second round TKO because he doesn't know how to put on an armbar. But really... before I talk about this, okay, we sat here for a few months talking about how I don't think this show is going to happen, how the security, how this and that, how I kind of wanted Mother Nature to win. I'm going to sit here right now and tell you that what we saw on Sunday, you take out all the political stuff. I know it's hard because it is the White House. It is Donald Trump's birthday. That was the coolest thing I think I've seen. From the walkouts, the atmosphere, the production... Was it cool because it was different, or was it different because it was cool? I don't know. But really, I think UFC White House or UFC Freedom 250 hit a grand slam. You know, no matter how much you might hate everything that stands for and everybody on that side, and I'm going to say this, not taking sides or anything, the bad guys won that day. Okay? Because it just, everything worked in everybody's favor. So, and it was like a good, you know, like, it was a good moment. It was like, you know, then Josh Hokic had to come on and make a stupid remark and claim First Lady Michelle Obama is actually a man. The second time that he's done this. And it did not get over with anybody. Now, you would think, you know, as we live in this climate of division with the right hating the left, the left hating the right, and you winning a huge fight at the White House lawn in front of the president, and everybody was there kind of supporting the same team, you would say, right place, right time. It was just a wrong phrase, wrong time for him to say that. And I'm going to make history right now because I really can't wait till this motherfucker gets knocked out. But Josh Hokic, you are the first ever two-time winner of the Bratwurst Award because, you know, you won it back in, January, and now you're winning it again, okay? Because you're going to get knocked out. Your whole Hulk kick, the Incredible Hulk, that whole gimmick is going to end. You're going to end up snoring in the lights. You're never going to become a heavyweight champion. And, you know, I don't want to say, you know, freedom of speech. Yeah, there is, but freedom of consequences too, bro. I hope the Obamas sue your ass. And, you know, you kind of tampered the event. Not even like Donald Trump was like, dude, like, not today, okay? Like every other day, but not today. It's my birthday and I'm tired. But, yeah, so Josh Hokic, for what it's worth, you get a bratwurst again because you're a fucking idiot. Anyway, but we do have some UFC coming up. I think it's this week. Yeah, it's tomorrow. Manel Cape versus Koji Horiguchi in a big flyweight bout. Paramount Plus. Excuse me, got a cough. You know, I'll check it out. Inu Kutalaba versus Navajo Sterling. Great name. Andre Philly's fire name. So, you know, another Apex card, but I think, you know, I don't like the Apex cards, but when you have a big event like that, I think it's nice to go back to Apex, settle down before, you know, we have the next UFC pay-per-view coming up, which is going to be, you know, UFC 329, McGregor vs. Holloway. We'll talk all about that coming up. But there is some news to break. UFC 330 in Philadelphia has announced 2 title fights. Ian Machado Gary would face off against the welterweight champion of the world, Islam Makhachev, in the main event. And in the co-main event, Mackenzie Dern will defend her women's strawweight championship for the first time against Jillian Robertson. So that is going to be a great fight. You got Edson Barbosa on the main card, on the undercard, Vicente Luque, Aaron Blanchfield. So, you know, that is, you know, good to see Islam again. And Ian, you know what? I did see this on Ariel Hawani's show. Shout out to Ariel. You know, you can always say, oh, Ian's going to get ran through. Ian's going to get beat. Islam's going to do what Islam does. But Chimaev lost. Ilya lost. Pereira lost. So, anything's kind of possible right now. So, I'll be looking forward to those fights in the middle of August. But, you know, right now we got to focus on Manel Cape and Koji Horiguchi. You know, got to get one fight through the other. But, you know, MLB's, you know, baseball's baseballing. Next month we got the All-Star break. But, you know, not much is happening right now. We can look at the standings. Because really, we got to check in. The Yankees are on top of the AL East by 3 games. The Chicago White Sox are tied for first place against the Cleveland Guardians. We took a few beatings from the Yankees, but we'll bounce back once Murakami gets back. Mariners, that is a very close American League West. Mariners, Athletics, Rangers, and Astros are all separated by 3.5 games. NL East, Braves pretty much got that wrapped up. 7.5. Well, I don't want to say wrapped up, but good lead for the Braves. The Brewers are up 5.5 games in the NL Central. And in the NL West, the defending two-time Los Angeles Dodgers champions. Wait, that doesn't make sense. They're up 9.5 games from the Diamondbacks. So, looks like we'll have the teams that we thought would make the playoffs, and then some will sneak in. But we do have the trade deadline coming up, and MLB posted a rankings of top 2026 MLB trade deadline candidates. Tariq Skubal from the Tigers, 85% chance of getting traded. Let's see. Byron Buxton from the Minnesota Twins, 30% chance of getting traded. Jeremy Pena, shortstop from the Houston Athletics, 35% getting traded. Joe Ryan, CJ Abrams, Reed Detmers, Jose Soriano, Aroldis Chapman from the Red Sox, Wilson Contreras, he's on my team. Sandy Alcantara, he's on my team. Freddie, don't trade my team. Tyler Ward, Luis Alvarez, Gleyber Torres on the Yankees. He was on the Yankees. Sonny Gray. So we might see a lot of names that we know change teams at the deadline coming up in I think in August or a few weeks from now. But let's talk about it. Let's talk about it because we kind of just talked about it. But let's talk about the New York Knicks becoming NBA champions for the first time since 1973. 53 years since then. Then we had the parade. The parade was happening. I saw pictures. I saw videos. Good for the Knicks. Good for everybody in New York. So, Knicks and Spurs was the most watched NBA Finals since 1998, averaged 20.6 million. Oh, by the way, to go back to the White House, they said that the White House did the same number as the MMA event with Gina Carano and Ronda Rousey. So probably not the numbers I wanted, but 20.6 million for the Knicks and the Spurs, good for them. We are, I saw pictures of and videos of the parade. It's great to see Madani. Apparently, the guy who owns the Knicks, James Dolan, whatever, not a big fan of Madani. Not a big fan of the dude. It makes sense, but the draft is 1 week away. We are gonna look at, the last draft, mock draft, We did say A.G. Dubbensta will go to the Washington Wizards. Cameron Boozer might follow him behind. But Darren Peterson, now number 2. Cameron to the Memphis Grizzlies. Caleb Wilson to the Bulls. Keaton Wagler to the Clippers via Indiana. Darius Akuf Jr. from Arkansas to the Nets. So, no names really stick out yet, obviously, because there are a lot of new names, a lot of new faces. Well, they're all new faces, but, I think everybody's looking forward to the first few picks. Where Cameron Boozer's going to land. AJ is most likely going to go first. Dylan Patterson. So, it'll be good. It'll be good to see. I'll watch it. Last year we had Cooper Flagg get number 1. This time I'll just, enjoy it. I don't even know when the Mavericks pick. They share, let's see. According to this, the Mavericks are, don't even have a first round pick. Oh, the number 30. So, the last of the first round. But a little NBA news. Washington Wizards star Trae Young plans to decline his $48.9 million player option for next season and will become a free agent Monday, sources told Mark Spears from Anscape. Trae Young, you didn't really play in Washington that much. I think Washington would be a good fit for you, especially if we get the number 1 pick. You probably do a little bit better than you're doing now. But hey, if Trae Young wants to go shop around, he's more than welcome to. But I think Washington would have been a good spot for him. But speaking about just coming in the league, we have 2 retirements over in hockey. Jonathan Toews, 3-time Stanley Cup champion, he announced his retirement. Bruins to retire Patrice Bergeron's number 37 next season. And big news for Vegas, John Tortorella is not returning to Vegas, and we have a new head coach from the AHL affiliate, Silver Knights. Me and Babe went to a game once. It was cool. They won like 6-0. Ryan Craig will be the next coach. So hopefully he can lead Vegas to a Stanley Cup Finals again. But good for John Tortorella. Tortorella. Yeah. Anyways, FIFA is happening. FIFA, United States won again. Today they're on 2-0. We're going to talk about FIFA and the matches that we haven't talked about. Now, we know France won. He's excited. Challenge 3-1 against Senegal. Iraq lost to Norway 4-1. Argentina with 3-0 win over Algeria. Yeah, that's how you say it. Austria 3-1 win over Jordan. Then we have Wednesdays. Portugal and DR Congo tied at 1. England defeated Croatia 4-2. Ghana defeated Panama 1-0. And Colombia defeated Uzbekistan 3-1. And then on yesterday's matchup, Chechnya defeated, and South Africa tied up 1-1. Switzerland defeated Bosnia and Herzegovina 4-1. So I think they're eliminated. Does that mean they're eliminated? Let me see. What does this red flag mean? Does this mean they're eliminated? So it looks like they're eliminated. Canada defeated Qatar 6-0. Mexico, the huge win over South Korea 1-0. And Australia lost to America 2-0. Morocco 1-0 win over Scotland. Brazil 3-0 win over Haiti. And Paraguay is tied or winning a live game against Turkey. So I think America moves on to the next round. Is that true? Is that right? I don't know. I don't know these things. I know it's called the knockout stage. Is that where we're at now? The knockout stage. There's so many words and numbers, and I don't know. But we're qualified though. So Mexico and United States. Those are the only two teams that moved on to the next round, I guess. So good for the United States. Good for Mexico. And huge win for the United States. I'm very glad. France is looking good too. So FIFA is just getting going. We got a few more stages, a few more things to look at before we talk about miscellaneous. I don't really think anything else. Let's see. Giannis Antetokounmpo reportedly doesn't want to leave Milwaukee. He wants to leave the Bucks. Huh? Giannis Antetokounmpo reportedly doesn't want to leave Milwaukee. He wants to leave the Bucks. So he likes the city, but he does not like the team. Makes sense. I guess Will Ospreay said something stupid. A lot of people are not happy about. Stupid comments about how he said something about banging his wife or something. I don't know. I just saw Will Ospreay on Twitter and I was like, stupid. But we will talk about Forbidden Door because we talked about 2 out of the 3 on June 28th. John Moxley will take on Bandito. Tekla would take on Starlight Kid for the World Women's Championship. Umino versus Pac. Mercedes Moné versus Meyer World in the Owen Hart Cup final. Cope and Cage, Edge and Christian would face the Dogs, David Finlay and Clark Connors. And then we talked about Kenny Omega, Zack Sabre Jr., Ospreay and Swerve Strickland in the finals for the Owen Hart Cup. And then this steel cage match, 12-man, Team Briscoe, Mark Briscoe, Orange Cassidy, Roderick Strong, Kyle Riley, Toshida, and Darby Allin versus MJF, Kevin Knight, Kyle Fletcher, Jake Doyle, Okada, and Andrade. I did watch a promo with all the MJF and the Don Callis family. Very good promo. Very, very good promo. But yeah, it's going to be AEW, CMLL, and Stardom in AEW's Forbidden Door pay-per-view. Going to be a busy, 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 busy day. But to go on to the miscellaneous, because I do want to get off somewhat soon. If you look behind me, no, it's not just your average cartoon cat. It is Garfield. And the reason I'm talking about Garfield is because this day, many, many years ago, a creative in Jim Davis in 1978 follows Garfield, who is a lazy, sarcastic orange cat. He loves lasagna, hates Mondays, and spends most of his time eating, sleeping, making fun of everyone around him. Sounds like somebody you know. He lives with his owner, John Arbuckle, the dog Odie, and I guess Normal. I don't know who Normal is. A cute gray cat Garfield finds extremely annoying. But Garfield likes to eat lasagna. That's pretty much the summary of his life. He hates Mondays. He's an orange fat cat who lives with John, bullies Odie, eats enough lasagna to feed a small world country, hates Mondays, and somehow turns being lazy into a $1 billion career. Honestly, a role model. He is. But, he was created by Jim Davis. He was a cartoonist, still alive, 80. Definitely, created comic strips, Garfield and U.S. Acres, published in 1978, one of the world's most widely syndicated comic strips. Grew up in Marion, Indiana. God, that's so weird to me, living in states like that. But yeah, he brought Garfield to life. I've seen, Babe and I have watched 2 movies in theaters. One was a really bad movie, went on a second date, and the other was a new Garfield movie. But, Garfield was voiced by a lot of people you know. His movie came out back in the day. He was hosted. He was voiced by Bill Murray, and video games and the movie. Yeah, Breckin Meyer was in it as John. Jennifer Love Hewitt. This is back in 2004. And then the Tale of Two Kitties, another sequel, Bill Murray again. And then the latest one, the Garfield movie, Chris Pratt, Samuel L. Jackson. It was a silly movie, but there's been Garfield Halloween Adventure, Garfield Goes to Hollywood, Garfield Has 9 Lives. So he's a comic strip. You get the paper, you read about Garfield's adventures. There he is right there. So shout out to Garfield. Also, kind of weird, but, I do, not weird per se, because there's nothing weird about it, but, happy Juneteenth to everybody. Big day for Juneteenth. I don't know too much about the holiday, but I know it's celebrated, and I hope everybody had a great Juneteenth. And I think that's it. We talked about FIFA, we talked about the Knicks parade, the draft is less than 1 week away, the trade deadline's coming up, talent leaving TNA, But, we did take a few days off for a little birthday break. We're going to be back on the Monday. We'll be back on after Raw. We're definitely going to be back on after Raw. I have no shows to do this weekend. Next Saturday is a huge day. Or next Sunday. Is it Saturday or Sunday? Saturday I'm busy, but Sunday I'm not. Right? I don't know. Anyways, booyaka. Let's get the recap going. Let's see. So, the King of the Ring is set. The finals, Jey Uso versus Obafemi. Liv Morgan versus Io Sky. We talked about Rey Mysterio, the living legend luchador. Booyaka. NWO Chronicles. Speculations back on the internet said Mabel. Good thing it wasn't. Rest in peace, though. TNA, this talent leaving. A little backstage controversy. We'll talk more about that on Monday. NXT Great American Bash. That's coming up next week, too. UFC Fight Night, Kate versus Horiguchi. I'm picking Horiguchi. And UFC Freedom 250 was a great event. Taking all the politics and all the bullshit aside, it was something fantastic to see. Josh Hogan, you're an idiot. You're a 2-time winner of Bratwurst Award. And UFC 330, Makachev versus Gary, Joe versus Robinson. MLB's coming up, the trade deadline, and plus their draft is coming up. White Sox hold the first pick, so Roque Koloski, can't wait to get drafted. And the Knicks and NBA champions, the parade, most watched since 1998. And we'll talk about the NBA draft. NHL, Vegas has a new head coach. FIFA, America's 2-0. And Garfield, and happy Juneteenth. So, like that, I said, love yourself, love each other, and love sports. And we'll be back on Oh, wait. Monday is being filmed early. So we'll be on early Monday. Around 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. Alright, guys. I'll see you Monday.